Hi, I'm Matt Nasser.
I'm Claudia Baez.
And I'm Bartholomew Bland, and this is How Does the Art World Work?
And today we're here at Bart's gallery, the Lehman College Gallery, in the latest and greatest exhibition that you've curated called Incandescence.
The Chandelier in Contemporary Art. And we are sitting here in our one of our galleries, one of the three galleries that make up the show. And I'm feeling quite sentimental and a little bit nostalgic this week because this is the last week of our exhibition.
And you're going to give a talk.
Yes, I'm going to give a talk just as the moment we get off of this presentation to the public, Instagram Live.
People will come and you will give them a whole talk about everything that we're looking at right now.
Yes.
We can see some of it, I imagine, with the cameras, right?
Right behind us is a wonderful installation by the artist Petticoin. It's all beautifully dipped wax flowers.
They are beautiful, but I don't understand. I don't think they qualify as chandeliers, sorry to say.
Oh, that's quite all right. We've had a lot of discussion because this exhibition was at three venues. The Shirley Fitterman Art Center, which is part of part of the Borough of Manhattan Community College.
Right by Pace University. I got lost going there.
Yes, downtown near the World Trade Center.
That's the building that I said must be very hard to fill in and fill up because it's not that beautiful.
Well,
it's
I think
big.
it's a newer, it's certainly a very handsome location right on the street corner there. You get
True.
a lot of, we had our chandeliers were hanging and when they were illuminated at night, they look great there. Anyways, that show just closed last Thursday. So we had an Instagram Live from there at the end. And the Bronx Community College here in the Bronx at the campus there has the Hall of Fame Gallery. That was our third venue, our smaller venue, our kind of sister satellite show. That's closed, and so we're the last show to close here.
Because we're here in this exhibition, I wanted to focus on curation for this episode. And I know that you were thinking about this show almost
10 years ago, yes. So it's been a long time coming.
So you really plan out these exhibitions. I know that you sent me and Claudia on a mission a year before to look at when we were
down in Miami. You were
looking for chandeliers. So you hunt.
Pack.
You hunt and pack. So you come up with a concept. You have an idea of a show.
Yes.
And then that's where it starts.
It's where it starts. And, what is going to be an idea for a show is different for every curator. I'm always very fond of motifs. In contemporary art, I've done a lot of shows like that. Strut, the Peacock in Art, Fashion, and Architecture, which was a fun show to do. And then, of course, you're trying to do something. The whole art world tends to ping, so I want to pong, or zig, and then I want to zag. And so the chandelier, I had noticed that there were a lot of artists doing chandelier work. They weren't calling themselves chandelier artists per se, but it was surprising. We ended up with 48 artists in these three exhibitions, and we could have easily done another 48 if we had had the budget and gallery space to do that. And very few of those artists would have qualified them or described themselves as chandelier artists. Petticoin, whose work is sitting behind us, is one of the few, I think, who would say that the chandelier is central to her work. And it's funny you should say that you didn't think it qualified as a chandelier because we had a lot of discussion on our curatorial team about whether a chandelier has to illuminate.
I think it does.
And so there are
Without
a lot.
a
So a
doubt.
lot of it was self-described by the artist because we did reject a lot of hanging sculpture that wasn't necessarily chandelier. In inspiration. So hanging wasn't enough. Petta's work does tend to have a chandelier form.
Okay, so let's just understand.
Yeah.
Patty, her name is Patty.
Petticoin, Petah, coin, Coyne. And she is a very significant artist, certainly in the art world.
Does she do other things besides?
She does work as forms outside of chandelier, but one of her things that she really is known for is her use of melted wax. I will tell this story because I think it reflects one of the practicalities of working with a limited budget in a university space. We're lucky enough to have a fabulous Marcel Breuer, who many of you may know is a modernist architect. He designed our space. This was originally the library back when this was the Hunter College campus back in the
So is this Marcel
early
Breuer is the
1960s.
same guy that designed
Did the Met Breuer.
the Whitney?
The old Whitney building
old
on
Whitney.
Madison Avenue.
Madison
yes.
Avenue in 60-something.
And he in 66, and he was very brutalist by that point. But I think in
A
this
lot of cement.
very
Very
heavy. And you don't really see that in our space. This is a much
No,
more
it's very light.
Eero Saarinen inspired, opening up kind
Yeah.
of bird in flight, airy, sort of much more
Definitely.
international style than
Yeah.
when
Than
he went
the
into
Whitney.
full brutalist.
The Whitney is full brutalist.
So you're not, you're creating a motif, but you're working with a budget. So a budget influences the actual show.
Yes, and that is really the reason that I sort of sat on the show for a long time. Is I didn't think that we would have the gallery space and the budget. And I talked to several regional museums about doing it. They were a little bit hesitant. And finally, when I partnered with Lisa Panzera, who runs the Shirley Fitterman, I thought, all right, we'll have
A former guest.
a former guest of ours, yes.
Lisa.
We will have enough space and we can combine our budget to do the show. And
Where is she? What is she doing?
she worked with me. She was the co-curator on the venue downtown.
Because she runs that venue down.
She runs that venue. And we're both City University of New York art galleries.
So you make your list of, do you do sort of like the wish list?
Yes.
You do the wish list.
Yes, you do.
And you cut, no, yes.
Well, there are, it's sort of like dating. There are people you desperately want to include in your show who may, fight shy of being included. There are people who you may not be that thrilled about who are thrilled to be in your show. There's the huge sort of swarm in the middle that you're trying to work with. And then there are things that just aren't practical in terms of space and those kinds of things. I will tell you, we have a very dramatic gallery space here at Lehman, but because this was an old library that was reconfigured as the art gallery, we have very little back of house space. And one of the things we discovered is we have very low entryways, unlike most contemporary art spaces. So I will tell you the example about Petticoin's work. These are 5 chandeliers. They were originally made for an installation at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts. For if you've been down to the PAFA, the Pennsylvania Academy, beautiful high Victorian building by a designer named Frank Furness. And these were part of a series of 11 that Petta designed for that space. This was not what we originally talked about having in the show. She had done a large black wax chandelier that was about 4 times the size with an enormous taxiderm peacock hanging off the side of it, which I have loved that piece for many years. It was a piece that was inspired by her father's history. Petta very graciously agreed to loan it to me for the show. And then we discovered, because it was not in component parts, there was no way to get it through any of our doors.
Wow.
And we tried every sort of conceivable plan to do that, and it just flatly would not work out. So we came up with what turned out to be a very beautiful alternative plan. But those are the kinds of things that you just have to adjust for the practicalities of your space.
So there is an improvisation to curating an art show. You have to roll with, you're working in the moment, all that.
In a very
pre-plan.
slow-moving glacial sort of way, yes, it's improvisation.
So then you have your artists that can fit through the door. You've got your thing, and then you have to make contracts with these artists. These
agreements.
There's agreements because this is all valuable work.
Valuable work.
Who's the most expensive person you have here?
Well, I don't know, and I won't say in terms of insurance values, but Petta is one of our best-known artists doing this kind of work that's in the show. But we have many other very highly regarded artists in the show, and then of course
Many, they're all highly regarded.
they're all highly regarded. Yes,
They're all
and we have a lot of international.
One of the qualifications to be in the show, you had to be highly regarded.
Yes, or I have to think that you're an interesting artist.
Oh,
It's
there you go.
that's where the
Okay.
curatorial perspective comes in. Or my colleagues,
to
Patricia
think.
Cazorla and Lisa, need to think that. There's a lot of international work in this show. We have artists from Colombia, several artists from Korea, Japan. There's a lot of different work represented.
And none of this is for sale. It's all just for show.
This is, well, it's not just for show. This is for academic edification. And no, we are not a selling gallery. None of the CUNY galleries are selling galleries. We're academic galleries. And that gives us a real breadth. I was talking with someone about this recently. There's no impetus to sell. If someone's interested in an artist's work, we will, of course, refer them to the artist. And hopefully, if they can sell work, that's wonderful. We know that's happened anecdotally out of some of our shows. But I am not organizing these shows with a commercial element in mind. The work has to be, and my colleagues, we have to think it's interesting. And then, of course, because Lehman College has a wonderful MFA and BFA program, we want to have we don't do solo shows here. We do thematic shows because we want to have the show, as I said, has a couple of dozen artists just at Lehman's venue. We want to have a lot of different work for the students to be able to look
learn,
at.
to look at, to get information, to get it. Do I hear something? Do you have a chandelier that's making noise?
Yes, you do.
Why
you
would
can
you
hear
pick that? That is so annoying.
Well, that is with all sound pieces. There's an element of after you've been with the piece for a long period of time.
You want to shut it up.
You do. And we actually have several pieces. I think the tingling that you're hearing is actually a very beautiful piece called Fallen Chandelier by the artists Ilya and Emilia Kabakov, who are originally from Russia. And this piece, which shows, I don't know if you could see it behind me, is actually a collapsed chandelier that's fallen to the floor. It looks
great on the floor.
It's beautiful.
And it's illuminated.
It's illuminated. I like that.
And the string, I don't know if you can see
but I did not realize it had sound.
Apparatus.
That destroys the piece for me completely.
And sometimes in these exhibitions, are you saying if you're not worried about sales, you commission? Can you commission work for an exhibition?
Yes, and for our Rotunda artist, we always we have since I've been at the gallery, we do a commission for a site-specific work, and the Rotunda here at the gallery is a beautiful but rather tricky space to work with architecturally. The work that we have up now is by Sunil Garg, who's an artist.
These LED things,
yes. Those
Who is he from?
Well, he's originally from India, but he lives in Newark, in New Jersey. And he came to do a site visit with me. And he was recommended by Patricia Cazorla, who's my co-curator on this project. And the neon pieces, he's known for his work with neon. He did these very beautiful, he was intrigued that this was a Marcel Breuer building. And in one of our galleries, we have Marcel Breuer's famous chair from 1926, the Breuer chair, which you see in many museums with the turned chrome with the black leather seats. I'm looking at them right now across the rotunda. Done in 1926, which is shockingly modern. And these, of course, we've got knockoffs here, nicely done knockoffs here at the gallery. But Sunil was very intrigued by these chairs, and so he actually created for his chandeliers, which I think is so wonderful. He took apart some of those Marcel Breuer chairs, and so these chandeliers kind of become an ode to Breuer with the structure. He's painted them with the neon, and then he's added a lot of the crystal pendants that you think of as when you close your mind's eye and think about a chandelier. That's kind of the image that you get. So it's a nice kind of triple combination of the three.
Claudia, so you've worked with curators before, showing your paintings and stuff. Has your experience been as far as like dealing with curators or picking work for an exhibition? In that way, if anything comes to mind, have curators influenced your work even?
Well, I could talk about the latest one because that's the one that's present in my mind. It's just some girl reached out to me and wanted a Cindy Sherman painting. And she saw all my paintings. I actually unearthed them. There was my thesis work from 2012, and I just saw them all, and they were like awful. And I painted on top of all of them. And then I sent her the images, and she picked a couple. So it was fun for me because it was like she was looking for something that had something to do about something that she was writing about, like Bart, right? This was called The Influencer, was her show in Milan. And so it was all based on influencers. And she had picked a few important women, like Cindy Sherman and others, and then she curated her show around them. So it's quite fun and easy to do. I mean, the curator wants something that you potentially have, you know.
Well, that's an exciting, and that's always, I imagine, for the artist, a nice thing when you're not hustling for the gig, as it were, and it sort of comes into your lap that if someone's interested in your work or has been watching your work develop over time, and I imagine that's quite satisfying.
Very, absolutely.
I think that's something that maybe, as far as how the art world works, people don't understand that a lot of artists are in dialogue with curators through their process. Sometimes I don't give feedback unless it's asked of me, but I will give artists some feedback if they want it, and that has influenced their paintings, their sculptures, their work. And in a commercial setting, that's even true. So for good or bad, the curators that work at commercial galleries might push an artist in a certain direction for commercial value.
We talked about that, like what is sellable. I remember having a dealer said to me, if I say to the artists, I could sell blue paintings, and they immediately come up with red paintings, there's a kind of push-pull between what is commercially viable and what the artist wants to do. And you see that play out over and over again. So it's nice to have an academic space or a nonprofit space where there is the kind of breathing room for artists to play, to explore something. We had artists make chandeliers for this show who, I thought were interesting aesthetically and might not have always worked with the chandelier form, but kind of came up with an idea that they wanted to explore. So that's
you
a really
give them
fun
the
thing.
freedom.
So then, okay, you've made a beautiful show. Now the work begins, right?
And now the work begins. I had some wonderful interns working on this show doing the background research. Ashley Lum, who's our wonderful project loan coordinator, sent out rafts of paperwork that's going on. And so the whole thing comes together fairly quickly. I think we had a 2-week installation period. It's not exactly pre-framed etchings that are hanging on the wall. We have, I think our largest chandelier is about 15 feet high, something like that behind us, and weighs a great deal. It was reinforced with some, airplane cables to make sure that it doesn't collapse out of the beam of the ceiling, sort of bringing down the ceiling with it. It's very heavy. Wonderful piece by Carlos Roland.
It's beautiful, that piece. I like it a lot. I like to see the chandelier right at your level.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of them are hung lower than you might necessarily have.
But we didn't conclude on the fact that these, to me, are not chandeliers. They're beautiful, but I think they're sculptures.
Sculptures, they take the chandelier form. A lot of the times we deferred to what the artist called the work. If it was in the title of the piece that they called it a chandelier, we sort of went with that. But there's a great example of a work in the show that features a glitter ball. And we had a lot of discussion about whether the glitter ball would count as a chandelier. Now, a disco ball or a glitter ball.
It's in the painting.
Yes, exactly.
In the Las Meninas painting.
Yes, exactly.
Is that a photograph of Las Meninas?
No, that's a painting.
So it's like done perfectly, precisely.
Exactly, and
photorealism.
Photorealism with the glitter ball.
They included the glitter ball
in, and so it's an interesting sort of thing. I love the painting so much. I love the historical references, which I thought would be great for our students. That I said we're putting this in, even though I think the glitter ball probably isn't a chandelier. There are others that would, because it reflects, doesn't generate light. And that was kind of a definition of that. And so that's how I started the label. The debate rages, the glitter ball versus the chandelier. So the chandelier form, it seems like a very frivolous topic in some ways for an exhibition. I was really going through our 48 artists, the number who are dealing with political dysfunction, tyranny, power imbalance, the magisterial view of the thing hanging up high versus the reverential view of looking up at something that's got power sort of surrounded around it, themes of violence, the atomic bomb being dropped, the efficacies of commercial meat production,
What? You're so digressing now. What does that have to do with anything?
Everything. Those all are themes that are in all of these.
World War II? What?
Yes,
The bomb?
We have Philip Lackenman, who's a wonderful German artist. He has 2 pieces. They look like beautiful crystal chandeliers. We have photographs of them. You'd look at them, you say, those are very beautiful. They're actually called Fat Man and Little Boy, and they are based scaled down versions in crystal of the 2 atomic bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
wow.
You can see them right over there behind you,
Oh, I
Claudia.
wanna see them.
And that is a very powerful, that's something that's very decorative, that's very serene looking. You think, oh, I might like to have that over my dining room table, but it's hanging there as a kind of
Reminder.
Exactly. A memento mori.
So now, lastly, for my the steps of the curation, although this is you said the focus is maybe more academic. You're creating a catalog for the show.
Yes.
You're showing students different artists' interpretations of this theme. Is it important to get press in this setting? Is it
always a challenge to get press? Very important. We work with CUNY's press office here at Lehman College, and of course, all of it's digital media now. The gallery has a strong Instagram presence, and yes, but certainly the coverage that has changed over the years. I've worked for regional museums around New York City. I think certainly the New York Times getting rid of their regional editions. They used to have the Hudson Valley edition, the Connecticut edition, New Jersey, and Long Island. Those art sections were all removed about 10 years ago, maybe 9 years ago. Made a huge difference, I think, to a lot of the smaller arts organizations that are sort of around the epicenter of Manhattan in terms of critical coverage.
Do you call upon the artists to help in that aspect, or
to some degree, we do, and we obviously we at them on all of our promotions and try to get them to do that. But it is a challenge. It's definitely.
When you're in a show, do you have to feel like there's pressure for you to let people know about your show?
I always make a big brouhaha. I like
As
to
you should.
promote myself.
Yeah.
But it's hard, and sometimes the pressure is on the artist.
Yeah.
But not
Make
in
it
this.
happen.
Not in this scenario.
Yes. Well,
This
I mean,
is all.
I think
have
when
everything
a
under
group
control.
show, it tends
Yeah.
to be different than a solo show
Right.
in that way, where you're really foregrounding one particular person's vision, as opposed to coordinating several dozen people who have not competing visions, but hopefully complementary visions or different ways of looking at one idea.
Bart, what were you saying about meat?
Yes, Deborah. We have a meat chandelier, a turkey chandelier made out of blown glass.
It looks like a hanging chicken.
Yes, by the artist
I saw the
Deborah
hanging
Jernico. That's hanging in the other gallery, and
it's a turkey.
Deborah
He
has
said
It's a turkey.
Turducken. No, it's a turkey.
Looks like a chicken.
It's actually got turkey necks as the thing. It's quite striking. So,
And
I
I heard you also have a banana one.
Our banana chandelier.
I saw it
by
on the other
Jean-Marc
venue.
Hunt was downtown, and they just did the last turnaround of the 90 bananas a week. So Lisa was making a lot of banana bread down there.
God bless them.
That is insane.
And sort of lastly is public events, which get people through the door.
Public programs like the one we're about to have.
So
I see lots of people here,
People are
Bart.
gathering
Showing up,
just
and we
outside
gotta-
of our perimeter.
You have to go talk.
So we're
Yeah.
going to go hopefully have
Can you
an
talk some more, or
animated
are you done
discussion.
talking?
No, I'm
Bart-
just gearing up.
Bart's just gearing up.
You wait until their
I am
eyes.
just kidding you,
wait,
Bart.
wait until their eyes glaze over. That's how you know that you're
We just
done.
warned you up.
Get the hook.
Well, this has been a very successful warm up and a great podcast.
Now
about,
I'm playing the big room.
Oh yeah! Hopefully, people have learned something about the process of curating a show from different points of view. And thank
Hopefully
you.
you'll come back for our next one. It's going to be a good one.
Thank you,
Thank
Bart.
you. Thank you very much,
Bart.
Claudia. Thank you, Matt.
I'm
Thank you for
Claudia
coming out.
Baez.
I'm Matt Nasser,
I'm Bartholomew Bland.
and this is
How the Art World Works.